All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's episode of Print and Pretzels. And Riley wants to get right in on it. Hope everyone's doing good tonight. Come on, buddy, you gotta stay over there. We got some cool announcements this week. Things are happening. Super excited. We're gonna be talking about the new printer that arrived in the studio that got here or unboxed this week. We're troubleshooting some things on it, and then we've had some cool developments happen this week. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna give everyone a few minutes here to get into the live stream so they can understand what we're gonna be talking about tonight on what sort of problem that I think the filament world or the 3D printing community is headed for with all the 3D printers that are coming to the market. I mean, we're already seeing it, so I'll get into that a little bit in the live stream. But grab your pretzels, grab your beverages of choice, grab some filament if you're printing too, and get ready for a good episode of Print and Pretzels tonight. So this week, we're printing some things in the studio, finally getting around to them. I'm printing some of the articulated cows for 3D Gob. He makes some pretty good products. I've been backing him for about 6 months or so, maybe 8 months now, since last summer. He's got some cool farmyard animals. He got a squirrel that we're doing too for articulated animals. And then we're still printing Cinderwing stuff. And then we're printing some Pokeball fidget clickers that are out there by Maker Ice 3D. And we're using Sunlu filament to do most of that. About 90% of it's Sunlu filament, unless I need a super special color. And the colors are what we'll be getting into tonight and what we have to kind of talk about. But for tonight's episode, we're breaking into, I mean, we're kind of already broke into it, but the Chex Mix Turtle Chex Mix, the family size, but I'm going to put some on the plate here. Iceman74, what's going on? Colin, how you doing? Got some good announcements tonight, guys. Looks like Momo wants some pretzels. But, so, this past weekend, I unboxed our Wonder Maker ZR that came in. Let me flip you guys over there so you can see what's going on over there in Alpha Centauri world. So the Wonder Maker ZR is there. It has been unboxed. I'm doing some test printing. I've run into kind of a snag when it comes to multicolor. I'm getting a layer shift in the same spot every single time. Otherwise, it's printing just fine. If I can figure out that layer shift, then we'll be good to go. And it seems to be at the first color change. So right now I'm doing a single color print on there to see if it happens in the same spot. If it doesn't, then I'm gonna get in. Alan, how's it going? Hi-yo. Then I'm gonna get in touch with Wonder Maker and figure out. I mean, I already am in touch with them. We're just narrowing down what's causing it. But I've got that unboxed over there next to the Centauri Carbons. Printing a stand for the Centauri Carbons over there. I got one more piece to print for that, to try that out. So we'll move them down to the bottom shelves. And that's what we're doing over there. So, I don't know if you all have noticed or not, but there might be a few more options on the screen for you for tonight's episode. We did hit that monetization mark a week and a half ago or so, and then we put in the YPP application to YouTube, and they approved us for the monetization. We're well past the $4,000 mark. It just hasn't caught up, especially because of that last video. So thank you all for watching that last video that we put out. We've been talking about it for a few weeks in the live streams here, but I condensed it all down and then put it all out there on YouTube for people to see. And the chat has definitely heated up in there, so that's good to see. everybody's opinions on where this 3D printing community is going, and it's so good to see the different visions that people have. CD Guy, hello all, how's it going? Hi, Alan, hi from the armpit of the USA. I don't know where you're specifically referring to, but I think the armpit is Florida, where I'm from. All super sweaty and gross and down there. Well, that's where I was born, but I'm not from there. I'm from Michigan here, but I lived down there for a while. But anyways, so that's the first thing that we did this week. We got that into the studio, and then we did that YPP application, and now the super chats are turned on. All those good things are turned on. Don't feel obligated to do that. I'm not worried about that stuff. I'm just saying those are available now. Hey. Florida. Yep, I moved away from there about a year and a half ago. I used to live in Ocala. So right there in Central Florida. So, but anyways, what I was talking about, we reached out to Sunlu, and they're going to send us filament once a month. So we've got contact with them. If you guys have any questions, I can ask my rep for Sunlu. They're going to start sending us. I use a lot of PLA in the studio, so we're going to start with PLA. And I mean, I print things like this all the time, black and white, and we'll get into that later in this episode. But that happened this week. I mean, that's huge for us. So I'm really excited about that. We got more things available for you all down there. I'm looking at what this all means. It's happening so quickly. So, but for tonight's episode for Print and Pretzels, we're going to be talking about how multicolor printing is exploding right now. And I don't just mean the tool changers. I mean everyone. Hopefully they won't send Solane. I had nothing but problems. I don't know what you mean by that, Alan. If you could clarify, I'd appreciate that. But what we'll be talking about is how just so many printers have come on the market, whether it's the tool head changers or the tool changers or the nozzle swappers, or I mean, or just 2025 was a killer year for bamboo and all the bamboo products that are coming out. Centauri Carbon 2 just came out with multicolor printing. I mean, the SparkX, the Anycubic X, I mean, Chidi just released some things. So I mean, there's just so many printers coming to the market. We're headed for somewhere we haven't been before, because 5 years ago, I could buy any color I wanted to. I mean, there was tons of filament available, but we'll get into that here in just a minute. But I mean, you have AMS systems that use multicolor. You got just so many. Everybody wants multicolor for their prints now. And I mean, not everybody, but a good majority of the market does. But there's a side effect that's happening, and then there's a solution that I think is coming, or maybe multiple solutions to that side effect. And then we're going to be breaking down 3 things for tonight's episode. Why some filament colors disappear faster than others. I don't know if you've been to Sunlu's website or Bamboo's website or other ones that are out there. They owns a lower tier filament company called Solian. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for that. I appreciate that, Alan. I did not know that. I believe they're going to be sending me what I already use straight from the Sunlu boxes, because they want. I mean, we have it up here and over there in the Alpha Centauri area. They just want to see their logo up there. And I use the Sunlu filament profile on the Bamboo Studio and an Elegoo slicer, and it works just fine for the actual Sunlu branded filament. CD Guy, yeah, bamboo filament is becoming a rarity these days, and I'm going to break that down. Why that's happening. There's a reason why that particular section is happening, CD Guy. Number 2, why multicolor printing is increasing filament demand. There's really 2 parts to that I got to break down. Hopefully I can get this all broken down in 1 hour. And then why the next generation of printers may actually solve this problem, or at least help alleviate it. So grab your ice waters, grab your pretzels, and we'll get into that. Levi Lawrence, can a KY Dex type of string be used? Are you talking about just like string from like a lawnmower? I'm not quite sure on that. And shout out to you, Levi. Hope you're doing well down there in good old Florida, I believe. Relevant to kill. What's going on with Sunlu? Yes, there's definitely things going on with Sunlu and all the filament manufacturers, and that's what we're going to be breaking down tonight. So what is causing this problem? So we have a generational thing happening with these tool changers, which we covered in last week's episodes and a few weeks of those, and then that recent episode or long form video I put out on YouTube covers that too. But to wrap those into a nutshell, those are getting people really excited for, I can print multicolor now and not have all the filament waste, so I'm going to order a bunch of filament. That's happening right now, and then you have people like me. I'm part of the problem. Oops. You know, people are really getting into the mini farms or the mini manufacturing of things, and they're ordering more filament. I'm ordering more filament now than I ever have. So that's what's going on with that. And then you also have how accessible and affordable 3D printing is coming relevant. I'm really like their PLA. I hope nothing bad. No. Nothing bad is happening to Sunloom. Actually, good things are happening with Sunloom. But it's about the quantity of filament that is being demanded by the 3D printing company, right? Or 3D printers right now, the hobbyists and the mini farms and stuff like that. And how we're gonna see this going on. So single nozzle multicolor systems purge filament every time they change color. We know this, okay? So if I print this cow, I mean, it's just a head right now because they pop on, but if I print this cow on our Bamboo P1S as any of the single nozzle multicolor units, it pushes out a bunch of filament every time it changes colors. So that's part one of the issue that's causing this filament dryness. I would say that's not a shortage, but you're starting to see some colors not be available. I am, at least. I have some gaps up here that I need to fill. But what is happening with that is you see these Creality Spark X's, you see these any Coburg X's come out, and all these last minute before tool changers get here, printers just being pushed out on the market and at this super affordable price, and it makes it accessible for everyone. It's really, really increasing the filament demand. And not just for the standard black and white filaments. It's now for all these colors. And when filament companies go to do colors, they do them in a batch because they have to retool all their filament creation tools. They have extruders that make these systems, and they got to do pigmentations, and it's got to be precise to the formula, so they'll do it in a batch. They always have black and white going. I mean, that's their most popular things. That's why you always see them in stock for the most part. But these specialty colors, like this pink on this the Sunlu Sakura pink on this cow head that I have here, those get done in batches. So they have to retool all these things. And it's just really creating a problem for these companies because they can't keep up with the demand. Now that this multicolor is just, and there's data out there, and I'm going to save that most of the data for when I break down in the long form video that I put out later. There's just so much demand for it. I mean, and now we're going to talk about what Bamboo is doing right now to help with that demand. Up until now, Bamboo has been white labeling another filament manufacturers. So they take the filament and they put it in their box and then ship it out. Now Bamboo wants more of the profit, and they're bringing it all in house. So that's what's going on with that. With Sunloom, they have to expand their production, and they already have a big production. So part one is the accessibility and affordability of these multicolor single nozzles that are out there in the market right now. And it's like a double-edged sword, because if everyone's printing with the purge waste, not only are they consuming filament, but they're wasting a majority of it. So that means technically they're consuming double the amount than what a tool changer would, or even more if they're printing big models. So companies aren't able to keep up with that. There's so many printers, there's not enough filament. It's like having a coal heater. You have 10 heaters, but only enough to fill one heater. It's the best example. You have 10 gas tanks, but only enough gas to fill one tank. Essentially, there's just so many printers out there now. It creates so much waste, which means if this creating waste is just pulling out that much filament out of the ecosystem. Those prints, they can either, if this was printed on the P1S, I mean, not just one, but I would do multiple on a plate to save, but it would create a ton of waste. So I'd have to buy more filament to make the same model than if I did on a tool changer. So that's a foreshadowing for you guys. Catch up on the comments here for a second. Relevant. You end up purging more than you're using. I prefer to prime and paint stuff unless I special piece. And yes, that's absolutely a way to tackle it. I don't print multicolor on my P1Ss unless I can batch print it and make it to where, like our Hatchie Pals that we print, that are like this size, I could put like 60 of them on a plate, and then it's the filament waste is just not nearly as much. I have like 40 grams of filament waste versus I use entirely like 200 grams. So, but even then, once we get into the tool changer era, hopefully I can phase those down into single color prints or printers, but still keep the AMSs if hopefully Bamboo keeps that. But that's a whole nother episode. But more printers essentially for this first part means dramatically higher filament consumption. And again, we have more printers, even if it's the tool changers. Everybody's getting excited about the tool changers. Okay, now I can print in multicolor. Uh-oh, everybody else that wasn't ordering multicolor before is now ordering multicolors, whether it's the gradients, whether it's silk, whether it's standard colors, Sakura pink from Sunlu. The demand is just increasing so much that companies are having a hard time keeping up. They're going to start expanding. I think I saw some figure that it's like billions of dollars expected in the next 2 years. So now, I alluded to this earlier. The second part of this problem that is going on, I'm going to take a drink here real quick. As my furry friends keep me company here. The second part of this problem is how colors are made by these companies. And not all companies probably make it the same way. This is like a general statement about how filament is made because I don't know the specifics, but I know they're made in large batches. They'll do a run of a color versus black and white. They're producing all the time. They have like dedicated lines of filament that they're doing. And it's just, Alan Day, eat filament is nylon. I did not know that. Stronger filament. I did not know that, Levi. Did not know that specific type of filament. I've not used that before. Sorry, I'm catching up on some of the comments. But the batch colors come in and switching colors. So if I want to go from Sakura pink to grass green for Sunlu, they've got to clean all their machines. They got to purge material and recalibrate extrusion. That's why you're also going to see that colors versus black and white are going to cost more. And I'll show you that over here on Sunlu's website. I would much prefer to see more multi-material systems rather than colors to blend more different filaments. I think the companies would too, because they would make a lot of money on that. But I'm going to head on over to the Sunlew's website here. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about when you're going to see what the... We're going to go to filament and PLA, just for an example. Hey, we got to sit down right here, and then I'll get you guys on screen share once I get there. So we've got PLA plus. There we go. I want to go to PLA plus 2.0. That's my favorite to print out of. It just seems more smooth. So I'm going to get you guys on screen share here. And so if you look, there's not a whole lot of colors right now for PLA Plus 2.0. We've got 1359 for white. We've got 1359 for ceramic white and 1359 for lemon yellow. And even look, ceramic white. I mean, I wish I should probably get there on here and order that, because that's a very white I do use a lot. It's just an off-white. There's only 3 in stock. It's getting to be crazy. So now let's go over and look at, you know, PLA Plus. We'll go in here and look at all those X's as it pops up, and then it goes away because I guess it gets like hidden behind the scenes here. But you have all these colors here: 1349 for their black and their white. Then you have all these colors. There are so many colors I have up on the wall behind me that are not listed here. Like Sakura Pink is not available. That's because they do them in runs. It might be available in maybe PLA Standard. I don't know. Let's find out. No, I don't. Yeah, Sakura Pink. It's a good thing I have a couple extra rolls over here because it's not available. And I'll get you guys off screen share. And I think over time you're going to start seeing. So PLA white, that's like their standard color. See, notice it's a $1 difference because all these have to be run as a run, a batch print. There's more labor and stuff that is involved into this. That's something I've learned behind the scenes here. But I'll get back over to the stream here. All right. Mr. Crashout, why don't you melt down the filament poop into silicone molds or go the expensive way and make it back into filament? Currently, the only company that I know can make it back into filament, and they haven't even released the unit yet, is Creality. I would love to be able to do that, but that's also more time for me. And as part of like a print farm owner, a mini print farm, I guess is what you could say we are, that's just more time that I'm spending that I could be doing otherwise. That's why these tool changers are so important, because I save filament and then I don't have to spend time respooling it. JC, I thought Creality owned Soylent. I don't know. Alan says, OMG, Jay, you are right. Coltron G1 filament is very cheap and easy to use. I've not tried that filament, so I'll have to. I plan on doing some different test filaments. I got some. I finally got my hands on Hobby Lobby filament the other day, so I got to try that out too. Pancrobal makes a matte Sakura Pink, and that's going to be a point I'm going to be talking about, Alan, in just a little bit. On how it's one of a few ways that I think this problem will be solved, not overnight, but throughout time, maybe a year or two. But that's how those colors are made. They're made in batches, and it's important to think about that. Relevant. There are industry grade recyclers but they are expensive. Yeah, that's another thing. I don't have the money to have an industry grade recycler. That'd be great. But then you also have to think about, okay, if I want my color, that specific color, when I print with it, I gotta have a different bin for that color so it doesn't get messed up by all the other colors that are printed with it. And then what if you print on the P1S multiple colors and that purge? I mean, it's just, there's no good way to tackle that. And that's why I think that's why these tool changers, I mean, it is why these tool changers are coming out. David Walton, I wonder why no one tried to continue the idea XYZ printing had when their one printer that used one color filament and injected colors while printing like an inkjet printer. I don't know. That's a good question. I could see that where, you know, you're printing with white PLA and it injects colors. That must have not been cost effective. CD guy, I've had good luck with the King Rune bulk packs. Plus, I really like their spools design compared to the other brands, even Bamboo. Right now, I'm not just saying this because someone just told me that they'd send me a free filament. I've been using Sunloop, if you've been watching the stream, for quite a while, and they finally got the rolls that you can get the refills, and you can swap Bamboo filament. You can swap. There was another brand of filament that I used with it too. I want to say it was Elegoo. I put the refills on there too. But now even Elegoo is doing their plastic spools. I don't know if you guys seen that. I have some coming. It should be here in a week or two, or maybe even later this week. They have refills now with their own plastic spool that's coming out. Thankfully, I'm tired of the cardboard. Hobby Lobby is rather good. I wonder who's making it. That me too. I don't know who makes that actual filament. I'll have to investigate that. Hobby Lobby prints perfect with generic settings. Very good filament. Relevant. Have you tried the Hobby Lobby with the Sunlu profile? I've not tried that yet. I haven't used I got 4 colors up there and I haven't used it, any of those colors yet. One of them is like silver. But that's how filament is made. And now hopefully you guys can understand that with those batch printing and all the retooling and recleaning of the machines, it can be hard. Supposedly Elegoo makes Hobby Lobby and Micro Center is made eSun and Polymaker. Oh, okay. So section 3 tonight, the next part I'm going to talk about is why sometimes colors disappear. When multicolor printing increases filament consumption, specialty colors are often the first to disappear. So, like, that's why we just looked on Sunlu's website. We don't see the Sakura pink. Thankfully, about a year ago, no, probably like 9 months ago now, I ordered a bunch of pink because I thought I was going to print a bunch of Barbie stuff. I never wound up doing it, but I'm glad I have the pink for cows and other things. But it's just the ones that are really limited runs, like they're because up until now, these filament companies haven't had to do as much filament runs as they need to now, because multicolor printing hasn't been so craved, because it's been so price point high. I mean, now we have the bed slinger printers styles that are under $200 for some of them. That's it. For multicolor printing, that's pretty insane. So that makes it that much more accessible. But that's why these colors will disappear. I think something's coming to fix that. So they just can't instantly ramp up production for every color. They just don't have the facilities to. If they have 60 different colors in their lineup and 30 of them go out of stock overnight and they only can do 5 runs at a time, well, then we're going to be out of a color for a little while. Relevant. I heard Sunlu made the Hobby Lobby stuff. I don't really like the Elegoo stuff. They are very picky with their bed adhesion for me. Hobby Lobby can put on some generic profiles and it will print perfectly. I don't have problems with the Elegoo filament per se. It's probably because I use the BIQU cryoplates. I really don't have adhesion issues unless I'm printing something super small that barely contacts the surface, and then I'll use hairspray on it and then wash it off the print thing. I'm actually going to try their BIQU's glue because I want to see how well that works for tiny ones. Mr. Crashout, did you know that the wood filament has bamboo and bamboo is a grass? I didn't know both of them. I didn't know that wood filament has bamboo in it, but I didn't know it was a grass. It's kind of like a sugarcane too. Coincidentally, just yesterday I sent off a request to somebody to apply for a sponsorship from them for my 3D printing and design class that I'll be teaching in the fall. Excellent, GC. That's awesome to hear. I hope they get back to you soon. I asked them to sponsor some engineering filaments for our tensile testing rig. Do you think I got a chance? I don't know. They're a really big company. As far as I'm aware of, they're one of the biggest companies out there. But let me know if they do. That's awesome. Keep up the good work. So as far as, I missed a chat up here. The only poop shoot. Just purchased my Snapmaker 1, waiting for it to get here. Whatever that is, I'm anxious. I'm pretty sure that the ones that are being purchased now will get here probably at the end of March, beginning of April. So it won't be long. And you'll be printing in multicolor, like the rest of us. And then you'll experience this problem. You'll be like, I want this color, and it's not there. Why? Because multicolor printing is getting so popular. And so that brings me into what I think are going to be the solutions for this problem. I'm going to go into two of them tonight. The first one is, I think companies like Polymaker, for example, they have tons and tons of colors. And Alan, fun knowledge, bamboo is a member of, I don't know how to pronounce that, which is called the grass family. Cool. And from Hobby Lobby too. Okay. You've gotten some stock. That's good. If you're printing large amounts of items like me, that stock can go through quickly. And I'm looking at how I can arrange all of this stuff, that open spools that I have. That's a pain point that I'll cover in a later video. But so companies like Polymaker, let's go on over to their site so we can check out and see what they have. I'm going to screen capture, and we're going to go over to Polymaker's website. And feel free to drop it in the comments if you do not. I'm just going to click on there. Oh, check that out. They're expanding. Like all these filament companies are probably going to be doing. No, thank you. So they, in my opinion, really specialize in colored filament. I mean, they have the black and whites, of course, but when I go to their and watch me, I love their glow stuff. But glitter PLA, I really like glitter PLA, or glitter PETG, or the Galaxy, as some companies call them. But when I go to their website, they have theirs in stock. It's expensive for sure. But they're in stock. I'm not a biggest fan of their cardboard spools because I don't know if you know, if you have a brand new AMS unit and you put a cardboard spool in your AMS unit, it can void your warranty. Bamboo doesn't like cardboard spools. But they're in stock for the most part. I very rarely see Polymaker not have things in stock. So using that as an example, I'm going to come back to you guys here. To be honest, I don't even know what to print yet, but I have some ideas. That's where you begin. When I first got the Snapmaker 1, there was things that I've been wanting to print for quite a while, but I was like, I don't know which one to print. I don't know. I have ideas to print, but I don't know which one. You just got to pick one and go with it. But these filament companies you're gonna start seeing different filament companies specialize in making colors. And then like Sunlu they'll eventually ramp up their filament productions in those colors over time too. But I think there's going to be a big market for companies to develop dedicated color runs. Okay, black and white used to be those dedicated color runs, but now maybe there's a high demand for grass green, or like maybe there's a high demand for pink, because of all these accessible printers. That's how I think it's going to be solved the first way. What that'll create, though, is potentially another problem. I think it might create a pricing problem at first, maybe, and we're seeing it kind of now, because when companies currently have to do runs, they have to charge more with labor. But if a company creates Sakura Pink or something similar to it, and they're the only ones that have it at that time, it's going to be at a premium price. Are there some filaments to stay away from and are not that great? I would say, for me, I've always used Sunlu and bamboo. They have really high quality filaments. I don't really get tangles in them. I might get 1 or 2 in like 100 spools that I order. Elegoo is right there. They make good quality filament. And PCTG. Okay, that's a good one. There's just so many filaments out there that the only thing I would caution on is if you try to order things off of Temu, you never know what you're gonna get. I mean, if you order Sunlu off of Temu, then you'll know you're probably gonna get Sunlu. But if there's like a brand on there that you're not quite sure of, you haven't really heard of them, I would just Google it and see what the reviews are on it before you actually purchase it. Just because hopefully somebody else out there has tried it and knows, okay, this print's great, or hey, I've had so many issues with this. It clogs up my nozzles all the time and I don't use it. Just do a little bit of research on that. Or if you have a specific one, let me know. You can drop it in the comments and we'll check it out at some point. Never have, maybe just Amazon. Yeah, if I need like an emergency color, that's where I go to, is Amazon. Otherwise I try to order direct from Sunlu. And then either way, it gets you really fast. I think I get you down here, Momo. Sorry, buddy. It's just a great way to order quickly. If I need to get it here, I'm like, oh man, I have half a roll of this left and I need a whole roll by the end of the week, and okay, I'll have it here. But that's the first way, and I think with that development, it'll cause a little bit of pricing gap from black and white to these colors that are out there, maybe $1 or $2, $3. And it's also, a lot of people have questions about, okay, why do the refills cost more than the spools, like when it comes on a spool? So up until now, and this is kind of like a little bit of a break here, it's a question that a lot of us have had, and I've recently found out an answer for it. Up until now, it's all been one process. The spool goes on there and then it gets wound up on it and away it goes. When they do the refills, it's a different way to do it. So they have to retool it all if they're going to do refills specifically. So it's a different process, and they have to retool. Just like with the colors, they have to retool a little bit. They don't have to clean as much, but they do have to recalibrate pieces to fit just the spool refill cardboard and not the spool, which the spool helps guide the filament when it comes on there. So they have to put some like guides and stuff. That's just something I've been watching on different filament YouTube videos. Appreciate the knowledge, peeps. Cheers. Have a good night. Thank you for joining the live stream. So the second way that I think this is going to be solved over time, kind of, it could also add to the problem, and I alluded to this earlier, is the tool changers, nozzle swappers, the wasteless printing. Okay, so we got these printers coming out here that are, I've already seen it. I printed this cowhead on this machine instead of over here, and it saved me a ton of filament. I didn't just print this head, but I printed a bunch of them with it. And it just, whew, the amount of filament that I saved without having the purge waste, if I got to print in 3 colors to 4 colors, it's gonna go to this machine, unless it's the tiny little ones that I can batch print and it's not a drastic filament waste. But anyways, these are gonna save filament, and I'm hoping, even though the demand for multicolor colors is going to increase because of these machines, I'm hoping that because they solve that other problem of purge printing, is what I like to call it, it's going to offset, maybe just offset the issues that we're getting because of these other printers becoming so affordable. It'll, yes, twice the amount of printing over here with color because it's so cheap, but half the amount of printing over here in color, offset the demand, I hope, at the very least. Or if it doesn't offset, if it does more than offset it, then hopefully people are ordering less filament colors, and the filament colors start to become more available to purchase again. Because even a year ago, pink was in stock. I think it was by hundreds of rolls, and now it's not. Yeah, kind of the reason I got my first one, LOL, and my got that one and my first one too. Yeah, it's the availability of multicolor printing, and now the availability of the Snapmaker U1. And I think this year we're going to see a lot of developments in the tool changer era. I would be surprised if we don't go the next 30 days without some sort of announcement from a company of another printer like this coming out. Kyle, welcome to the live stream. And I just want to point out, everyone, this is the 3rd time in 3 weeks Dante has been napping on the printer behind me. We're going to see how long that pattern keeps up. Settle Aaron, you ever use different materials like PLA supports for PETG models? No, just because it's kind of a hard thing to do, or inconvenient thing to do in the slicer for me, for the P1Ss, but you can really do that on the Snapmaker U1. I did, however, multicolor or multi-material on one of the articulated pieces that I wanted to try on the Snapmaker U1. I did PETG and TPU, and those materials bond well together, so that was kind of nice. But as far as supports in one material and not in the print in the other, I have not tried that yet. So now, I'm not trying to predict a filament shortage of, man, go out and buy 60 rolls of filament from Sunlu with our code BIQU. I'm not trying to predict that. I'm just kidding. You can use our code BIQU, but I'm not trying to say go out there and buy 60 rolls because it's going to disappear. I am saying I think it's going to be harder to order it. I think you're going to have to pay attention. And when it comes online, hey, I only got 3 rolls of orange left, and there's 60 available. Will that 3 orange last me until the next time it comes available? That's what I think you're going to have to do. Alan, I've done that a lot in my H2D. Yeah, because you have the dual nozzles, right? Because one can print one material and one can print the other one. Ryan Reed, what's for dinner? What's going on, Ryan? We're having Chex Mix pretzels tonight for dinner. So we're talking about what's going on in the filament world in 3D printing and the filament shortage that I think might be coming. Relevant asks, how are you liking the H2D? I've been thinking about getting that to use filament for supports and to print things in 2 different filaments. And then Iceman 74, did you see on the U1 site a guy made 10 color changers using the U1? I did see that on the Snapmaker U1's like founders backers site. That was pretty cool. With the because of the 0.8 layer heights, you could kind of blend the colors as it goes up by just using the 4 colors. That was pretty wild. Ryan Reed, miss those Dungeon Dog days. Me too, buddy. Me too. I missed that studio. Maybe at some point I'll recreate that up here in Michigan. But for our closing thought of this debate topic, and then I'll open it up for Q&A sections of what you guys might have. Multicolor printing is exciting and is here to stay. I don't think it's going anywhere. There's been a lot of questions out there. I've seen it in the chats in our videos. I've seen it on forums and stuff. Hey, the tool changers are coming, but is multicolor really going to be here? I think it is. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think I talked about it a few weeks back. I think it's going to be kind of like Back to the Future days. I think everybody's going to have a 3D printer in their house at some point, even if it's just to print their own shoes. It'll become that easy. I'm not saying in the next 2 years, probably in the next 10 maybe. But a lot of us that are already in the hobby probably could print our own shoes or already do. But the real question is going to be, how does it settle for efficiency? Not just the tool changers, those are great. Those are coming out. I'm really excited about them, where that's headed. But now we also have to look at the filament supply. How is that going to balance out efficiency-wise over time? Are these companies going to expand their productions? If they do that, they take on risk. Okay, if multicolor printing, for whatever reason, in a year and a half starts to dwindle down because there's not as much purge printing, which sometimes is 2 or 3 times more filament waste, which means 2 or 3 times more consumption, and it starts to wane down, that's just an added risk that they take on. So how does that balance equation happen as this industry matures, especially the filament consumption? And which system gives us the color we want without wasting huge amounts of filament? Tool changers, they're doing it. Like I said in our long form video in the last few weeks, is there another one going to be coming out for Bamboo here shortly? That's the affordable price point that uses their AMS systems, but also can allow us to purgeless print. That's the real question. So, and then the technology that created this problem may also be the technology that solves it. I think 100% this technology is going to be a little bit of a pain to order filament unless it's black and white for a little while. But this technology is going to solve that problem. And if it doesn't fully solve it, it'll at least help alleviate it until these style of printers with the purge printing, they start going the way of the dinosaur. And right now they're super cheap, so those that were in the hobby before can now get into the hobby and multicolor print. And multicolor printing is very attractive to new hobbyists because they're like, hey, you know, before I could just print a single color model, but what am I going to do with it? Now I can print a toy for my kid that's multicolor, and they can play with it, and I can give that to my child, as long as they're age appropriate and the choking hazards are considered. But that's what tonight's episode was all about. It's all about what's happening in the filament world, what's causing it, and how is it going to be solved. So now I'd like to open it up for the back half of Print and Pretzels, which is where all you viewers get to ask your questions. And if I can't answer them, maybe somebody else in the chat can answer them. So let's check out the chat and see what's going on there. When will the U1 be available for actual delivery? If you're talking about if I purchase it, will it come here in 3 days? I think it'll be another 2-3 months before that is, because there's so much demand still. Like they just got caught up on pre-orders, and if you order it now, it's 2 to 3 weeks. I think maybe 4 weeks at most. I know if you ordered it in the end of February, they said that you get it to you by end of March. So assuming they haven't fallen behind, which I don't think they have, I think it'll be sometime this summer. You'll be able to click buy, and it'll be here in 3 days. That's a prediction. That's a forecast. Don't strictly hold me to it. Now, I will say I'm excited for the top hat cover. Oh, that's an announcement that I missed earlier. And let me let you guys know. I've been working with BIQU for a couple of weeks now. They sent us some products to try out. I've been using their cryo place for a long time, even before I even contacted them. They sent me these products that you can see that the status on the P1S now is on there. This light that's here is not on the other two. That is actually excellent. I would highly recommend that if you like to monitor your prints, because if you're just staring at your print head, you don't know if it's color changing or if the prints, if there's something wrong with it and it's paused itself. That tells you. The Panda alarm is definitely an alarm. That's really loud. It does the same thing. It's up here. I have mine unplugged right now because I don't want it to interrupt the live stream. I haven't programmed it to be quieter yet, but I am getting to that. But I digress. About the Snapmaker U1. So I reached out to them. I'm like, hey, I heard that you guys are developing a top hat for the Snapmaker U1. And they got back to me. And not only did they say they're developing a top hat for the U1, but they also said that they'll send us one. And inside scoop, if you're on Print Pretzels, this information is not quite public yet. They haven't told me I can't share it, but they're designing in a whole ecosystem of products around the Snapmaker U1. And they let me know that because people have been purchasing the build plate off of our channel for that. They're like, yes. And they're going to send us all the products from their pop verse. Like they have Panda Loves Bamboo. This is going to be Snap, Crackle, Pop verse. That's kind of tongue in cheek. That's kind of funny, I thought. But they're going to send us the products to check out for that. So stay tuned on the channel for that. I was very excited about that. Hopefully I don't get in trouble. There was no disclosures that were sent to me about it. So, or NDAs. So, but that's coming for that. So be very excited. Their top hat is supposed to work with the Panda Breath, so you can have a heated chamber, so that allows you to print in ABS and ASA and control that temperature. So that's really cool. Let me catch up on some of these comments. Hope that announcement excites you guys. I recently got the Panda extruder for my P1S, and after calibrating, it shows X-axis resonance error. Is that normal due to the reduced weight? CD guy, yes, I would say so. It did that when I upgraded these two machines. It did that. Just if you can run a belt tensioning calibration. So what I did to get rid of that is I slightly loosened my belts. I moved the print head around a little bit, and then I tightened those belts back up and then run a calibration, and it fixed itself. You might have to run a few calibrations just because the printer has to readjust to the weight of that extra, because it's a little bit heavier than the extruder that was in there before. It's just got to adjust to that. I don't have that error anymore, and I've run, I think after I installed it, I ran the calibration 3 times, and I think that's when it went away. I hope that answers your question. My CD guy, I heard the Panda Claw wasn't good. Again, I'm going to disclose that I am affiliated with BIQU, but I got the Panda Claws before I was affiliated with them, and these two machines have it, and I have not had a jam in my gears since I've installed that. When I go to do maintenance, super easy to clean it out. I take the blowgun and I go in there, and since it's open, I could blow all the debris in there. I get in there out. With the other gear that had in there, that debris would build up in there, had no place to go. It would cause jams. So I've heard people had bad experiences with them, but I have not. I actually just ordered another one for my third machine here, just because I've been running these so consistently. I've had 2 jams in this in the last 90 days. So I'm like, all right, I'll spend the extra money on it. And again, I wouldn't recommend a product to you guys unless I would spend my own and have spent my own money on it and it works. So in my experience, it does work. But again, I am affiliated with BIQU. I want to throw that caveat out there just because it would matter to some people. I'm not sponsored by them in any way, but I am affiliated. I get a kickback for whatever products that you buy from our links. for that. Let's see, Alan, you know, there's an easy print to use IKEA storage bin and fully functioning top. Yes, I have saw that for the U1. I also have here in the studio the, I believe it was made by Srin, the acrylic version of that. I ordered the acrylic panels to do it, but I just haven't had time to print off the pieces to do the enclosure. And since now that BIQU has told me about that, I probably won't, because I think they said their time frame is pretty soon. They see how popular Snapmaker U1 is, and they wanna ride that hype train pretty soon. Settle Arian, what's life like outside of bamboo filament world? For us here in Sunlu, absolutely phenomenal. I use bamboo filament too, don't get me wrong. There are colors that I like of them, and when it goes on sale, because it is more of a premium price than I buy with Sunlu, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's $1 more, and that's much better for me for the overhead cost. But I can swap the bamboo spools with the Sunlu spools now. I did that in a video a while back, but I accidentally invalidated my own test. I put Sunlu on Sunlu and bamboo on bamboo by accident, but they do work. I use them all the time, and that's how much, like, they're so similar. It's hard for me to tell them apart sometimes, except for that RFID tag. CD guy, yeah, my Panda Claw has been running fine after using some of my own personal bearings and better grease. Yep, I've had great experience with them. Relevant. Another channel was printing PAHT carbon fiber with the top hat and BIQU chamber heater. Yep. That, like I said, that BIQU chamber heater is going to work in there, and it just makes it so much easier to print harder materials on the U1. And I'm looking forward to that, because right above my U1 there is a vent port that I can, if I want to try one of those things, I can just vent it outside. So that's exciting to see. And when they say pop verse, what else does that mean? What else are they coming with a Snapmaker U1? Are they coming with a filament system, a filament dry box system for the U1? BIQU is really good at taking whatever pain points are for these popular printers and helping alleviate them. Or even, I don't have one yet, but I would like to get some of their filament racks. God, the filament racks I have here in the studio that I've gotten off of Amazon, some of the feet have fallen off of them and tipped over in the studio, and I'm like, well, that was a bad investment. And I know with them, it's going to be a quality product. I mean, all their stuff I've been using for a very long time. So at some point, I'll probably, when I have some room here in the studio, get one of those racks and try it out. I also want to try getting one of their racks and taking the feet off of it and putting some casters on it and see how that works. CD guy, I would love a spring-loaded enclosed spool holder for the U1. There are definitely mods out there that are coming, and that's one of the things I was referring to in our most recent video that I put out there. If you haven't watched it yet, check it out. About when I was talking about ecosystem, I don't just mean AMS units for a printer. I don't just mean any just standard accessories. Ecosystem to me is, where are the pain points for the printer? For me on the U1, it is going to be the filament loading. It's great, it's 4 colors. But what if there was an AMS system for it, or some sort of filament storage box that when you put the filament in it, it fed it into the printer just like it did with an AMS unit? I don't care if it was single roll. It would, to me, it solves the hydration problem, because now our spools are out there just, I mean, especially since the colors don't get consumed as fast, that just means they're sitting on the side longer, even if you do multiple prints back to back of the same colors. So it means it's just possible moisture absorption. And if you live in a high humidity, like in Florida where I used to live, oh God, it was terrible. So that's a pain point. So, but I think something like that's coming for the U1, because if you look on your printer, there's a 6-pin port and there's a 4-pin port. What do the P1Ss have? They have a 6-pin port and a 4-pin port that works with their multicolor system. I don't think U1 is just gonna, or Snapmaker is just gonna sit there and say those ports are there, we're not gonna use them. I think they are. They might use them for the top hat for that 6-pin port, which is on the top. But I would be surprised if they don't have a longer plan or a longer term plan in mind for this machine, because they have invested so much time and consideration into it. And what do you guys think on these printers out here? What are some of your pain points with, if you have a U1, what are some things you don't like with it? That's what one of my things is. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the larger PTFE tubes that go in there. Yeah, they reduce a lot of friction, but what if I want to print with an abrasive material in it? Those are going to be a little harder to replace than standard PTFE tubes. Relevant to kill. Do all glow filaments require charging UV light? The answer to that is no. You can charge them in the sun. I will say with PLA, if you leave it in a hot temperature sun for a long time, it will warp. But when I go to art fairs and I bring my UV booth, or not my UV booth, I bring my glow booth, you can actually take, you don't even have to put it in the UV light that I have that you can, it's just for rapid charging. If you want to rapidly charge and like take it from here to in a dark room and it be as much glowy as possible, yes, UV light is required to do that. However, you can charge it with a standard light, or you can charge it with sunlight over the day, and it just absorbs that UV and then it reflects it back out. I have out in our garage here, I have the glow booth, and during the day they'll charge, not in the UV light. I have that off to save electricity, but I turn the light off when I go to leave, and it's like a ghost zone. It just glows. It's pretty cool. I'll have to take a picture next time I do that. I hope that answers your question. But if you do print with glow anything, glow, PLA, PETG, it's abrasive. If you use an AMS unit, it's going to tear your AMS generation 1s up so bad. You're going to get maybe 1, 2 prints, depending on how big you do things in. And it's going to tear up your ceramic inlets for the AMS 1s. It's going to tear up your PTFE tubes, and you're going to have to replace them. And if you do that, check out our AMS videos to do that. In my experience, and I need to do a video on this at some point. I need to do a video on a lot of things. But in my experience, the best units to do glow printing on is going to be the AMS2 Pro and the AMS2, the AMS2 Pro and the AMS HTs. Those are going to be the best ones. When it comes to maintenance for how frequently you print in glow printing, if you do a lot of it like I do, I will do dedicated slots in my AMS2 Pro for the glow filament with abrasiveness, because it's so easy to change out those PTFE tubes in there. You literally you can access it in the inside and pop it out and replace it, and it makes it so much easier because you're going to wear them out fast. Relevant. AMS light, absolutely not. You can try it. I have tried it on our A1 Mini. I don't have that running right now, but I have to program the plate cycler. I have a video coming out for that. I'm already editing that. That's fun. But glow filament in that, because the AMS light, let me back up. Because glow filament is abrasive, it creates friction in the PTFE tube and in the hot end. And when the AMS light motors aren't really powerful to retract it, not like the AMS2 Pro with the servo motors and the AMS HTs. It's going to have a hard time retracting it. So your prints are going to pause all the time, and it's going to become super annoying. If you have an A1 Mini or an A1 and you want to do glow filament printing in that, I'm going to highly suggest that you get an AMS2 Pro. I'm not affiliated with Bamboo, I mean, at all. I don't have an affiliate link with them. The only way I have an affiliate link with them is if they ever list their stuff on Amazon, I'm an Amazon associate. But that's how I handle glow filament. Like with my A1 that's set up over here, I printed some glow fidget toys the other day, and I printed them on there through their AMS2 Pro, and it was fine. I will say, get a hardened steel nozzle, because it's going to, those brass nozzles or hardened hot end, it's gonna wear it out so fast. That brass, it's just gonna bore it out, and then you won't have as accurate printing when it comes to layers. CD guy, I've always found that homing on the U1 has been extremely slow. Homing has been slow, and up until the most recent not the most recent update, but up until like one of the recent updates, I was noticing that the travel speed was kind of slow between, like, when it was going places. But that has at least been fixed. So maybe they'll update the homing on the U1 with a firmware update. Relevant. As far as other filaments that are like glow filament, any of your wood filaments, they're going to be abrasives just like that. So I wouldn't put any wood filaments on the AMS Lite. Marble filaments, I wouldn't do that either. It's just because they have those additives in there that just makes the texture and friction that much harder for the AMS Lite to handle. Figured I'd throw that in there too. I'm really excited for that stuff coming from Bamboo. From I wish there was stuff coming from Bamboo. I wish I knew about it. If there was, I'm sure there is. They got to be working on something. But from the BIQU, pop versus, pretty exciting. Can't believe I almost forgot to share with you guys. Settle Aaron, what desk do I have for my printer? That is actually I'll put it in the chat for you. Let me go over to IKEA. You know, every time I go to a website, I really wish there wasn't pop-ups that don't allow me to continue. So these are the B-roll workbenches. And what you see behind me, get back to the chat here. So those are the workbenches from IKEA. That's what the front half is. And I use the poles for the actual IKEA shelves, which are the same system, the B-roll system, if you look that up in there. And that's what those are. And how I handle the purge is the wood. I just cut a section of the wood, a hole. I don't have one to show you right now, but I cut a section where the purge just falls through and into the bins below. Too late. I had a 32-hour multicolor print with a Mullen rosewood PLA. Jammed it 3 times. Oh, well, that's how I learned. Like, I thought PLA was PLA. Nope. Sometimes it takes learning the hard way. Also, wood PLA, I believe, has to print much hotter as the temperature. Alan, why is it there's not a lot of comparison videos between the U1 and the H2C? I think it's because the H2C is too expensive. I'd love to do a video on H2C versus the U1. Actually, I think there's a 2-part problem. The first part is the H2C so freaking expensive. I can't afford that. That's well beyond my price range. The second part about that is, I think the H2C owners that do have that machine, I don't think they backed the U1. And the ones that didn't back it, they got a review unit. There's a couple out there. I think Fohammer did one. And I think the gentleman, the Printosaurus channel did one. That's about all I've seen out there. I'd love to do them. What do you mean, Alan? What's not the point? It'd be kind of hard to compare the two, though. One prints 4 colors and is faster, both color swapping, but the other one can print more colors and is slower. Forehammer did the P2S, which was bonkers. But he did a comparison between the P2S and the U1. I imagine he probably did that because of the price point similarity. The P2S is like 800 and the U1 is 800-ish in that zone. Relevant. Is the HGD worth it, or do you think a better offer will be coming soon? Please, please, please. If you haven't, Relevant, watch that video I just put out. I think a lot of things are coming soon. I think the next, if you can hold off buying a printer, unless you really want the U1, which I'm not saying don't buy the U1. It's an amazing machine. I wish I had backed the double unit when I backed it. But I think this machine specifically has changed the way other companies are looking at the market. And they're like, whoa, okay, this thing works. It's here to stay. What are we going to do about it? And I think Bambu's going to have an answer. Probably, they usually have a track record of releasing a printer every 6 months. But we saw with this, they dropped the H2C because they're like, whoa, this thing handles purgeless printing. We need to have some sort of answer for it, which it really wasn't an answer. It was too expensive. And then they dropped the H2C. And 6 months from that, I believe is sometime March, April. I would be surprised if April goes by and there's not an answer from Bambu. Oops. Alan, I'll have to go watch that video. I haven't seen it yet. I can see where there's some perks are better than others between the two machines, between the P2S and the U1, but there's also so many differences too. They're in some of the similar printing zones, like sure. The P2S, you can have the AMS unit. If you want to do a single color print, you can print continuously, but so can the U1 now. David, yes, I did get my Wonder Maker set up. So let me show you guys. Wonder Maker sent us a printer, the ZR set up, and I'm having an issue with it. I don't know if it's the machine or not. The Benji printed out just fine. Iceman, I absolutely agree. They do need to do some updates. They've been quiet for quite a while. This Wonder Maker printer, I printed the Benji on it, and the Benji printed just fine. Then I went to do one of our Pokeball clickers on it, and I'm like, all right, so it did the multicolor Benji just fine. Let me see what the Pokeball can do. And at the first filament change or color change, it had a layer shift. And every single multicolor print I've done since has had a layer shift. And I can't figure out why. I've reached out to Wonder Maker support to figure out why. But otherwise, it's printing great. Right now, I'm testing a single color print. It's like an 11-hour print of a Grimfinity bin in PETG, just because I want to try a different material. But that's what's going on with that machine, David. We got it set up. It's doing good. I will say that, oops, let me go back. That top hat you guys see, if they keep that same top hat for the Ultra, it's going to cause a little bit of issues with filament extrusion. You have to have those guide tubes just right. Otherwise, the filament doesn't go into the machine. You have to have one of those guide pieces that hold all the PTFE tubes together down near where the filament now enters that piece that goes into the nozzle. Otherwise, it prints just fine. Let me get you guys back over here, Bamboo Sanctum. Adam for me needs to do some updates. Yeah, I do. I am agreeing. We're supposed to get something sometime soon. I know they were pretty quiet because of the New Year, the Chinese New Year. Whatever. I can't remember what the name of the next big event is for the 3D printing world right now. I'm drawing a blank, but it's in April, and they're supposed to be doing live printing there. Relevant. I kind of want a Core XY that can do engineering filaments and can do multi-material printing. I just don't want to get burned like I did with the A1, because less than a year later, the Cobra X came out. That's hard. Relevant. That's hard because I don't see this industry slowing down. But I don't necessarily think the Cobra X invalidates the A1. I mean, I don't have a Cobra X. I know that tool head's supposed to be really cool and really is like an AMS inside the tool head, but it's still a single nozzle. So can they take that design and make a multi-head Core X multi-head bed slinger like that, like CoPrint, like I showed you guys in the other video in the last couple of weeks that they're doing? I think that was the purpose, one of the reasons I did that last video, because I wanted to let everybody know, hey, these things are coming. It's not just going to be the U1. The U1 pushed the market. It literally, think of it as somebody who doesn't want to go swimming. So they pushed them off the dock. This thing pushed everybody off the dock trying to figure out how to do purgeless printing. Now they're either going to take this tech and make it their own, or they're going to do something innovative like Prusa is trying to do with the index system. I don't know when that's supposed to come out. I know they're working hard on it. Or are they going to do something completely different? I personally think that if they could do a 5 tool head with an AMS unit, that would be enough for me. Because 5 tool heads or 5 colors, I think the most recent print that I did, or not even that I did, I actually didn't do it because I didn't want to do it because I don't have a machine that can do it. 6 colors for a batch print, and I was like, ah, it was one of the Pokemon clickers. It was I want to say it was a Ho-Oh fidget clicker, and it just had so many colors to it, and I was like, it's not worth printing because it's so much waste. Even though I could do like 30 of them on a build plate, 6 colors, it adds up. But if they had 5 tool heads, they had AMS units going to them, and one of them was only doing a color change, that would be much more justifiable to me, in my opinion, on how to handle that. And I know everybody says, oh, don't say, or not everybody, but people say, oh, the AMS units are not going to stay around. I'm not so sure. I think they are going to stay. I think that these AMS units with the auto loading feature just by themselves and the ability to dry is gonna be here. Now, will they always look like a square box like this? No. Maybe Snapmaker puts out something that goes on the side of the printer instead of the little spool reels there. It's a narrow AMS type thing. It's got 2 spools, like Sunlu's got some of their filament dehydrators that have 2 spools in there, and it just feeds them out of there into the printer. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I could see that happening. I definitely don't like the way it is now with the feeders. I mean, sure, it's great that it feeds it in. I just don't like them out in the air like that. And I did notice something on the U1. I don't know if I talked about it last week or not, but I printed this pay wand on it a week ago or so, and the connection points on the star for the wand, because it prints in 2 pieces, they were probably 5 millimeters across at best where it connects to the plate. And because it was PETG I was printing in, and the temperature wasn't completely controlled, it lifted. It just kept lifting. I tried it three times, and even with the BIQU plate, it was lifting because of the temperature control. And I know this because I took the same print and I put it over on the P1S, and yes, it was filament purge, but luckily it was only this high of multicolor printing, like maybe an inch or two high, but it didn't lift. It stayed on the build plate. I used BIQU plates on both machines, so that tells me it was the temperature variation with the open cover that was causing it, much like you get with ABS. So that was the one thing about the lifting that happened. And that could have been the same reason why the first time I tried PETG, it was minimal contact in certain places on the plate, and it was an extended print of why it lifted, because of those lack of temperature controls. Whoops. David, have you heard back on the ZR Ultra yet on your Kickstarter? Do you know when you're supposed to get that? Because I'm curious to see what changes on that machine versus the standard ZR. I know the bed size is going to shrink. Alan, oh no, I didn't get that. Look at that. Let's just look at that right now. Alan asked, did you ever get to look at the Pro Forge 5? No, let me bring that up in the thing. It was a busy week for me. But we're here on the live stream. Let's look it up right now. I'll look it up and then put you guys on screen share. Well, this looks like a serious machine. Okay. Open frame. Let me get you guys over here so you can see what I'm seeing. I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. It's cool that it's built in the UK, Alan. I like that. There's an infinite screen of death. I really need to learn how to do screen capture without that. Pro Forge 5. I'm hoping that this was the one you're talking about from MakerTech 3D. Tool Changer 3D printer. I'm seeing here they have, and they have parked these on the left-hand side, which is opposite of Flash Forge's 4 tool changers on the right. This looks like it's going to be a little bit bigger of a machine, though, much like the Prusa XL. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tool heads. I won't play the video because I don't know if the audio will carry over or not. But I will drop this in the chat so you guys, if you want to, after the stream, check that out. I can do that on here. Do it right here. Click the minimize button, get out of here. There we go. And then Pro Forge 5 available now for next day dispatch. So this, to me, I wonder how you interface with this. Is it the toggle? Is that a toggle switch over there? Whew. Okay, so we're talking Prusa XL prices here. I'm wondering, what is the build size? Well, that's interesting. They put the spool holders there. That's nice. That's cool. You can put them right in their little things there. Each printhead is $204. Oof. Where do we see? Maybe I went by it. Looking to see where they advertise the build volume. ProForge 5 conversion kit. So it looks like if you get the ProForge 5, there's a conversion. But I will check that out after the live stream on the video. Let's check and see what this is. Order here. Okay. Frame ships in 4 boxes. My goodness. It's nice that they have those LEDs up there. That's cool. So they tell us, oh, okay, so it is a big printer. 500 by 5. I don't know where I put that in the studio. Whoa. That's awesome. That's a huge machine. So I'm going to watch that video after the live stream here and check that thing out. Appreciate you bringing that to my attention. Relevant. I've not tried Sunloop profiles for Hobby Lobby filament. I'll try it on some test prints tonight or tomorrow. All right. That'll be excellent to see. Yeah, you could print like full armor pieces on that ProForge 5, but that price point is steep. Urban Sasquatch. Is there a chance anyone can figure out why I can't download files on DEFCAB? Is sending an email the best option? Let me check out DEFCAB. It looks like you might have to make an account to be able to do that. That's what it's telling me. Alan, do I live in a monitor state? What do you mean by that? Do you mean the recent legislation that's happened? I live in Michigan, so as of right now, I am not aware of any legislation in place for Michigan to be a monitor state. But yeah, I see the point of the question because it has a lot to do with the firearm stuff. A lot of legislation is going on right now about print monitoring, where you can and can't print, and a lot of it comes from the fear of ghost guns. I definitely will say, if you are printing things for weapons, please make sure whatever you're doing is legal, because I can get you in trouble real quick. There's so much legislation going on right now. It's gotten kind of quiet recently, but in the month of February and late January, there was a lot of heat going on about that. Yeah, I know. It is scary, Alan. I try to focus on the positivity and the bringing joy to everyone, though. I'm going to print toys. That's what I'm going to do. Print toys, bring joy to kids, keep on doing the YouTube thing. Urban, that's as that would be as far as I would take it for a conversation. But there's a lot of turmoil right now because of that being able to print those types of items. So, but to recap what we did on the live stream here tonight, we were talking about what is going on with Filament and specifically multicolor printing, how it is getting harder to order certain colors, what's causing it. What's causing it is these sub $250 printers that are really affordable are coming out on the market and making it that much more accessible for people to multicolor print. And with that happening, it puts a stronger demand for colors, spools of color, red, green, yellow, blue, gradients, silk, all of those. They get put in high demand, and they're harder to manufacture because if you want to order a roll of white, a roll of black, I mean, sometimes brown is kept in stock a lot. Those companies are constantly producing. They have like dedicated runs. But if you want pink, if you want orange, you want a gradient, you want all sorts of different colors, companies will do them in limited runs. And then after that limited run is over, they have to retool everything. They got to clean it all off. They got to get rid of all the pigmentation. They got to get all the old filament off there. Then they got to retool it. They got to retool their extruders that put the pigment into the material. And then they do another batch. Companies like Sunlu, I mean, they're bigger companies, but even they, and Bamboo, which has just recently brought their filament in-house, they're having a hard time keeping up because of the printers are outpacing. Printers are coming out to market almost just as fast as filament is now. So they're going to have to scale. And there's data out there that's projections of filament sales are going to be in the billions in the next couple of years if they're not already. So that's what's happening right now. How we think that's going to be solved for the color printing is going to be two things. And maybe more, but right now what comes to my mind is two things. Certain companies are going to either come to market or start dedicating a portion of what they do to strictly color fulfillment. They're going to have runs of pink. They're going to have runs of whatever ones are going to be the most popular. They're going to start dedicating runs to it, as long as there's constant need for it. And then, even more so, they'll start companies will start branching off and just dedicating their entire company to colored 3D printing. They'll do the specialty colors. They'll do and they'll try to like corner that niche of the market. And then the second way is these tool changers coming out. With purge printing, you're really consuming 2 to 3 times the amount of filament than you really need. And now that these are coming out, what they're saving, I'm hoping, is going to offset, at the very minimum, what's being consumed on these lower tiered price printers as far as filament. So for everyone that has a U1, if they're saving, I'm just going to throw out a number. If there's someone like me, if I'm saving 500 grams a month, which is easily done for me, and somebody else is printing on a P1S or an A1 that is doing multicolor and they waste a 500, at least it offsets for the most part. And then eventually these, in a few years, will come down to, hey, the Pokeballs are done. They'll come down in price point too when something else comes out that is innovative, and the market shift will happen all over again in a different way probably, but they'll come all down. And then I still do multicolor printing on some of my other things, but I really try to limit the purge waste now. I'll schedule it for the U1. Like I scheduled the cow heads because they're 3 colors and there's a lot of swapping between black and white on the U1 because I'm printing a little bit taller. Those Pokeballs, they have a little narrow area that do color shifting on it, and it's not so bad. Eventually, I can maybe get a couple more tool changers or nozzle swappers at some point, and then really can start phasing those printers down into single color systems, where I can print bigger items on extended pieces that they'll take a few rolls of filament, or at the very least, I don't have to change the filament, and I just keep printing in black or in this gradient filament that I do a single color print in, but it looks really cool in just one color like that, like our dragon eggs that I do for our Hatchy Pals. Like I print those in single color, but I print them in gradient so they look really cool and they kind of appear multicolor. So I can do that on those machines. And then phase those down into something different once more of the innovation comes into the studio. But I think that it is our weather forecast for where this technology is all going. What do you guys think that this technology is headed to next? Do you think that a tool changer, like more tool changers are coming out? Or do you think, specifically, I would really like to know what Bamboo has planned next. What do you think they have planned next? I don't think they're getting rid of their AMS units. I really don't. They have too much money wrapped up into it. I have too much money wrapped up into them. I'll keep using them for years and years and years if they keep making products for them. I'm by no means a Bamboo fanboy, but I do appreciate the fact of ease of use. Even when I phase the P1Ss out at some point, I'll still use an AMS unit with them because if they're turning into a single color printer, I can still print with 4 rolls, and that's time saved for me. I don't have to change them. Change out the roll when they empty. The spinning tool changer. Are you talking about the atom form? The atom form. Oh, if that printer. All right. So this is where I'm going to say, I'm not telling anybody to buy this thing. I'm not telling you to go put your $50 out. I'm not telling you that at all. At all. What I will say is I personally am hyped about this printer. I have to remain with a grain of salt with it though, because there's not much information. There's some photos out there that it appeared at an event recently. I want to say, what was the last event? I gotta keep up a better track on that. But it appeared, and there's photos on their Facebook page of in the wild out there. And if they can get it right, 12 nozzles with 6 spool AMS units that are heated, that are modular, it would be game changing, because what that does is it gives more functionality than the H2C in my opinion, because you have 7 colors with 7 nozzles. And then if you add your AMS units into it, sure, you can expand that. But when you get to 12 colors, that's significant. I have never printed anything in 12 colors. I don't think I would ever until something like that came out, unless like I want to say it was Iceman said there's a possibility to do it with the layers on the U1. That would be cool. But I've never printed anything in 12 colors. But having the accessibility to do that, which might change that. Doing some of the Hue Forge prints that might have a ton of colors in it, it would make a no-brainer for me to print 6 colors. I would put it on that machine and away it would go. And what the real difference is from what I saw that they're advertising between that system and the H2C with Bamboo is they seem to have solved the transition time from retraction into reinserting the filament in the tubes. It sits there and waits for a while on the H2C, I believe, and you can see it. Or no, the other filament. Let me rephrase that. It doesn't sit there and wait. It on the atom form, the other filament is sitting there waiting already when it's retracted, so it eliminates that retraction time. That's what I'm trying to say. And even on the P1S, I can see how it adds up. I mean, sometimes it takes a whole minute and a half for a color swap. I'm like, geez, that thing's still sitting there, and I know it's not got an error because my status bar tells me. I really hope inductive probes like Beacon or Vorons come to the consumer machines. I think there's going to be so much innovation coming, CD guy. There's going to be tons and tons of innovation. What's the latest on the Arco, David? The Arco has become too much of a time sink for me, so it is no longer in the studio. At this point in time for my little mini print farm here, I'm having a hard time keeping up with my A1 Mini if it needs a nozzle change. So that one has gone the way of exit of the studio, unfortunately, because I just don't have time to keep working on it. Which pains me a little bit because that was our OG here on the studio or on the live stream. CD guy. Yeah, I have all the funds set aside for the Atom form already, just eagerly waiting for the launch. Also, I love all the little modern features on the machine, like independent Z and nozzle cameras. I think so too. I think if they get the technology right, we really need to get that first viewing of it, like out in the wild, printing. Not just a bend sheet, printing some wild things with it. The Majora's Mask that everybody seems to like to print for the multicolor when they come out. The review units I saw come out for the H2C when it came out. There was like 4 or 5 reviews that came out that was Majora's Mask. I'm like, whoa, okay. But things like that have they don't just say, okay, this is printed. They zoom in on it and they show you how the layers are, if there's any artifacts in it because of the belts, things like that. I also I have set aside reserves for where I want the studio to transition next to. My hope is that Bamboo has an answer and that the AMS units that I have can still be retained value, and I can use that for the next thing, because that would be nice. It means, I mean, I've used them, I've gotten plenty of use out of them for sure, but to be able to continually use them, that'd be very nice to keep that up with. But the Atom form, I can see, if we were to get one of those in the studio, I could see that becoming a main piece over in Alpha Centauri because of the hydration unit, their AMS type units, and then the 300 by 300 machine. I have enough room for that production over there, which would be excellent. But it's got to work. It's got to make sense. I gotta have evidence of it out in the wild. And I'm on the Atom Form Discord. If you guys aren't on there, they do have a Discord. You can find it at the bottom of their page. But it's been kind of quiet recently. So that's why I'm like, grain of salt, like what's going on? I don't want to push too much hype on it, but I want people to know about it. Now, the company that makes or that is going to make this machine is Mova. People who make the robotic lawnmowers. So they have experience in robotics and in calibration things. I actually saw one of them last summer here in Ludington. I was like, whoa, okay. Hi, Riley. So uh, if they can do that, that would be awesome. It, it would be, I think it would really, really challenge Bamboo for that spot of ecosystem of doing the right ecosystem if Atom Form does it right. And from what I saw of their display on their website and stuff, of the last event that they did, they did present it very professional. I just don't know. There's just so many question marks that have to be answered. And it's the same place that we were. I want to say, was it the beginning of October last year? Beginning or either end of September, beginning of October with the U1. We're like, okay, it's there. Question marks. What does this machine do? Oh, Dante, you finally woke up and you're not sleeping on the printer behind me. So it's an exciting thing to see for sure. So we'll see where that one goes. And the co-print. The co-print is also another exciting one. Yeah, it's only 4, but it's 300 by 300, and they're advertising that they move independently, so they could be, both of them could be printing at the same time, which is something that U1 cannot do. And it's supposed to be a super low price point, like sub $500 is what they were advertising, which is, I was like, what, how? So if they manage to do that right too, that's another one that would push the industry in a different direction. Oh, in case you guys are wondering, this is a failed print that I have. I was printing an Easter basket for a donation, and I don't know what happened, but this part of the basket didn't like adhere right. So I'm just going to use it for a snack tray. It's in PETG. Or maybe a cat food tray. No, Dante. Something I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek on from one of the videos that I have coming up that I'm editing currently. I hinted it at in the community post that I made. I think it was yesterday or day before. The A1 Mini that is currently sitting over there resting because it needs some rest. That plate cycler C1M has made that A1 Mini outproduce my P1Ss and my A1. And what I mean by that is not necessarily speed or things like that, but quantity. Because unlike the A1 has something if you do like the farm loop mods that you can do with that, but it's not as simple as what the plate cyclers thing is. That assembly was super easy, quick, and if there's something breaks on it, the Chichi box has a printed piece file. You can just print it off and pop it back on there. I had one break, but it wasn't a big deal. It was a little connector piece, but I went off and printed those jellyfish clickers. And Alan, do I think my A1 prints better than my P1S? No, I think I definitely think that it's very close. I still see artifacts coming from the bed slinging. And the P1S is just, it's just got a more stable base and it doesn't rattle around as much, but there could be a reason for that. I have the P1Ss on rubber pavers, and I think that helps with the vibrations. And I don't have the A1 on the rubber pavers, so that could be why that. But it could be, it's very comparable. I like the stability that the enclosure provides. So, but back to the Chiju Box plate cycler, that thing allows me to do things in the studio that I wouldn't be able to do before without dedicating one of these units to do it. And those jellyfish clickers that I posted a few weeks back, I wish I would have put one on the table. They print in two pieces. One is the jellyfish legs, and the other one's the jellyfish tops. So I can fit, I want to say it was 16 jellyfish tops on one plate. And if you times that by 8, it's like over 100 jellyfish clickers for the tops. I can only print 6 of the legs on one plate on either the A1 or the P1S at a time. So I have so many jellyfish clicker tops because that thing can spit it out. It can print up to 10 plates at a time, but really if you kept cycling it, you could do it endlessly, just clean the plate off and put it. They can program as many as you want, but you have to keep replacing the plates after a while. It can hold up to 10 is what's advertised. But my point is, I've printed so many of the jellyfish clicker tops that I can't keep up with the jellyfish legs. So I'm going to be printing jellyfish legs on the bigger machines for the next 3 months. So that thing is wild. I printed an entire fruit stand on fidget toys on that thing, and so you'll get to see some of that footage when that comes out. And it's kind of comical to watch it spit the plates off, because I set it on the side and you just see it go go over the ledge and disappear. So it was cracking me up when I was doing the editing. But for 4 plates and the base that the A1 sits on and that little tray that goes on the back, I think it's like $80 or something like that. To be able to print without stopping, it's just, I didn't realize how much of that was really an upgrade. I was surprised, and you'll see that in the video. I'm gonna like frame it as like, okay, this was like the secret upgrade that I didn't really know I needed, but now I need it. If I had more than one A1 Mini, I would probably get more than one, just because it's cool. But if you have parts that you need to batch print, that's where it's gonna really, really, really shine. CD guy, ever have any interest in resin printing? All right, so I'm gonna give you some sneak peek, CD guy. When I lived in Florida, I did resin printing. It's a mess, and that's what I hate about it so much. And the fumes, of course. I have our furry management friends here in the studio, so I can't really print with that here in the studio. And you really need like a sink or something nearby, his gloves, and ugh. I have a resin printer. It's out in the garage. I have the Elegoo Mars 5, I believe it is. I haven't even taken the plastic wrap off of it yet, because I had fun with it when I started trying it, and then it just became a hassle. And I'm waiting for that point to go back into that realm when it becomes more, friendly to use. It's not such a pain. As you can see with all of my other stuff, if it requires time, it's out. It's just the nature of the beast when it comes to when you're starting to run a mini print farm. If it requires time, and my time is valuable because of my family. Like I have a 9-month-old son, so I want to spend as much time with him as possible. So anyways, I digress. My sneak peek on that is, in the end of this year, it is rumored that Bamboo is going to have some sort of resin printer coming out. I got that from the Next Layer channel. He has sources, and this is secondhand knowledge. But if you haven't checked that video out, check that out. It really is exciting to hear that, because if they approach it with the same thing that they did with FDM printing and multicolor when they came out, They really made it friendly to use, less hassle. You're not unclogging nozzles. You're not, I mean, it's just much more user friendly. So if that comes to fruition, that may be when I re-enter that space. I liked it. I mean, I had a whole notebook full of like scientific notes for resin that because at one point I was trying alcohol ink in resin and it was fun and translucent resin, so I can like really do some cool things with that. Uh, but it was also hard too because when you change the pigmentation, it changes the curing time for each layer. So, but anyways, I had fun with it. It was just was so messy, uh, and this is not, unless you consider purge pellets that you accidentally spill on the floor when you're trying to dump out the bin. Messy. Cats love it because they bat them around the floor. But I hope that answers your quick question. I am thinking about it when the timing is right with the ease of using it. I actually have resin here in the studio in containers still that I haven't even opened. But resin is cool. Now I don't think you have multicolors in that yet, but I think that's coming too. I think the quality of resin is so much better. There's like, I mean, you can see it on channels like Uncle Jesse and stuff when he prints stuff like 16K quality. Layer lines are almost insignificant at that point. It's just that ease of use to the material handling, I guess is the best way to put it, is what keeps me from really going into that. I know they have less toxic resin, which would be fine, the plant-based resin and stuff like that, but it still creates a mess. And you have to have dedicated like exhaust fumes and stuff like that to vent it out. And I have one here in the studio, but to be able to do that would be fun because I mean some of the resins that are out there, like the translucent resins, are so cool. I mean they look like if you print like a crystal dragon on it, it looks like it's an actual crystal. Versus even with FDM printing, you're still going to see some of those layer lines in the crystal dragons that we print. Some, not all. Do you have any experience in resin, CD? Formlabs resin is a special formulation that doesn't require as much ventilation. That would be nice. If someone can nail that down to where they can have a resin that's not toxic, like PLA, it's not. You should still vent it if you can. I have the air purifier Max here in the studio, and there's an HVAC system down here that has a HEPA filter and detailed filter in it. But it it would be nice to see that the consumer, if they want to get into resin 3D printing, can be safer when they do it. Yeah, $80 a kilogram. Man, that's like some of the filaments that are out there that are like $80 for a 2 kilogram roll. I'm like, oh, that's a lot. So what are some of the other things that you guys see out there that are kind of like problems in the FDM world? I mean, we talked about, the purges printing is out there. That's really uh, being solved right now, and uh, the filament colors, that's a problem out there. But what are some other pain points that you guys see that are out there? Um, One, that'll help me with topics to talk about on YouTube. Or two, if you're having the problem, we can share it with other people and say, hey, this is the problem. This is how we're solving it. CD, no, but I run the Formlabs SLS printer and post-processing machines in my school's lab. That's cool. I like to see that education for schools. That's one of the things I want to do here in Ludington. I want to try to like maybe do like a, hey, this is 3D printing day at the school. I have an event coming up at the senior center here in Ludington to demonstrate our A1 Mini out there in the plate cycler for some of our senior citizens that are in nursing homes and stuff. So I'm excited about that. That's coming up next Friday. Just me hating my Ender 5 Max. You know, it might qualify, you know. If you hate a printer, definitely definitely let the world know, because I'm sure if you hate the printer, then you're not going to be the only one. Like right now, I'm still ticked off that my LGU Centauri Carbon, my original LGU Centauri Carbon, is still sitting over there like a brick because I haven't got the parts for it yet. So I'm ticked off about that. I mean, it was nobody's fault. I guess they didn't see my email when I was trying to get it, or they saw my email. I ordered the parts, I paid for them, and then they got lost in the sauce until recently, and then they expedited them, but it's just sitting over there not doing anything. And ironically, some of the things that I print on the LGU printers in this insider scoop here made me the most margin. And that's a single color printer. So you just have to figure out, okay, can I print this in single color and make it look good? What kind of gradient filament can I use? Any thoughts on the new desktop CNC machines entering the market? I don't really know too much about CNC though. I'm actually going to be probably learning about that next weekend, next Saturday. I'm going to the Michigan Maker Summit. I'm going to be speaking there about what the 3D printing world is going towards, and kind of like you guys are getting a preview of what I'm going to be speaking about live in person over the last few weeks, and what it's like to be go from, you know, I'm doing this as a hobby and it's fun and having one printer to, hey, I'm interested in going and doing this as making some money back, making my initial investment back in my printer. How can I do that? Where do I sell my things? What do I got to do that? Commercial licenses are a thing. If you're going to sell, if you're going to go on Maker World and get a file of print, you should probably get the commercial license if you're going to do that. Things like that, and going from thinking as a hobbyist and having fun to I'm 3D printing for a business. That's what they want me to talk about. Absolutely, having plug and play TPU would be awesome, especially with multi-nozzle tool printers for stiff supports. Plug and play TPU would be awesome. If one of these companies could figure out how to get TPU to go through an AMS unit, that'd be awesome. I currently know that our AMS units here don't handle TPU very well at all, just because it's so squishy. I want to try a multicolor TPU print on the U1 there. I know you got to change some of the setup to do it, so I will get around to it eventually. It's just our U1 here is so busy all the time because of how much filament it saves for multicolor printing. That's why one of the reasons why I wish I would have gotten 2 when I backed it. I saw somebody on the forum, Facebook forum, they're like, oh, my U1 shipment came in today and they have like 9 printers. I'm like, what is that? That's insane. Oh my God. I'm like, good for you. And they're not that hard to set up, actually. It was a little confusing at first, like with the tool heads, but once you figure out the first one, it really helps the next 3 go in. Just the opposite way, because it's so we talked about tonight what's going on with the filament and the multicoloring, And the pain that might be coming our way, I can't say for sure that it's actually going to be coming our way, but filament might be getting harder to order when it comes to these specialty colors. Pinks, the green, light greens, these colors that need to be printed in batches. And it's coming for a couple of reasons. One, multicolor purge printing is super accessible for low budget entry points, like 200 sub $200 price point, that it makes it really accessible for those that may not want to or may not have had the budget to get into 3D printing, which means they're consuming more filament too. So if that filament gets consumed faster, that's less filament on the market to be sold until the companies can ramp up production. And then we talked about how that problem in the the environment is going to be solved on, okay, some of these companies are probably going to have dedicated runs for popular colors now, since it's going to become so prevalent, but that's going to take time to develop those runs and expand. And then two, another answer is going to be these tool changers and saving and hopefully offsetting the extra filament that's being used from all these new but not new 3D printers that are coming out at a super low price point, and what that means for the future of 3D printing. So if you guys like this video tonight, we are sharing it to Facebook tonight. If you're tuning in for Facebook, thanks for joining us. I finally clicked that share to multi-platform button to see what that would do. And I really enjoy spending this time with everyone on Wednesday night on Print Pretzels. If you guys have any topics for videos that you want me to cover, or on things that you think are out there in the 3D printing world that nobody's talking about, let me know. Send me a email to thegloriousgeeks01@gmail.com. I am working on a newsletter that you can sign up for. I'm going to get that going over on the Beacons page here at some point, so you can send me or stay tuned on things that I have upcoming and we have upcoming here in the studio. But things are going on the up and up, and I appreciate everyone's time, and I hope everyone's still having fun on these episodes of Print Pretzels. And I will see you next week at the same time, same place. Be glorious.